So I am sitting here reliving a bit of past trauma. um and I don't really want to talk about it. um so I feel like I kind of cleaned my soul. I mean, I told the president, you know, I told the vice president, I told everybody. I canceled myself many times, and I kept doing it because I couldn't forgive myself. And I was punished. I got used to living in horror. I got used to being haunted, okay? And it happened to me 3 times, and I deserved every bit of it. It was as if the universe said, okay, well, this is the best way to deal with you, you know? And it's still a constant reminder, kind of, or often enough. So what I'm saying is if don't provoke these beings. You know, don't. I said something to them I should not have said. And that's when it all began. Don't ever threaten these beings. If you start communicating with them, don't intimidate them, don't provoke them to get them to communicate with you. They do not perform parlor tricks for us. And that is the quickest way to end your communication with these beings. Excuse me. I'm coughing because I'm not smoking cannabis. I'm eating it. So it's coming up. Anyway. What I want to say is that's a bit of advice before we go into all of this. Is that I've got what I want to share with you is I've got some horrific experiences, okay? So don't think for a minute these beings are harmless if you violate them. Or somebody they know, okay? Like a human. Or anybody they care about, you know? Anything at all. I mean, it could be an object that somebody owned, you know? Think about it. Think about why objects are possessed or haunted. Could it have been somebody like me? Could it have been my one device, or my one item that was left over, my jujitsu belt hanging up there in the closet, or my shirt, my dress shirt? Could the being miss the human me? and then haunt whoever throws away that shirt or treats it recklessly, or gets some mustard on it and doesn't clean it out right, you know? What I'm saying is that these beings have emotions, and you can't just step on them and walk away. And I'm the same way. And there's seems to be some sort of connection between us that I don't quite fully understand yet. I have moments where these ideas seem to have entered my head, you know, or I thought them up, at least in regard to some of my inventions, but it's like it all comes from my understanding of them. These other podcasts, see, all this stuff that's just in my head that I just don't have the time to explain to you, that's what the other podcasts are for. This other realm that's up there that I'm thinking of, okay, this other subject, it came from my understanding here of this podcast. It came from me knowing them personally, in a way, personal enough. And what I've learned is that they like being respected, just like we all do. And that makes sense. You know, I mean, if you review my podcasts in regard to science, you know, and my hypothesis of dark matter and dark energy, that's what these beings are. And I've explained a little bit about that to some of you out there that know of me. I'll save it for the other podcasts, but when I walk, I perpetuate through space-time. My neural network does, as do those atoms and the electrons orbiting them. And there's something about that that seems to persist. And like we're not aware of every state that occurs. Because we're the here and now. But as we depart, there are infinite copies of each one of us. I'll save that for that other podcast. The focus of this is electromagnetic spectrum, electronic voice phenomena. If I want to talk about ETs, my other podcast is more. I want this one to be more for fringe stuff, but some of my ideas are fringe. It seems almost a lot of my ideas are. The other podcast, it's complete. So I think I can talk about these beings in regard to how I see them. So the one in regard to some of my scientific ideas and inventions, I eventually put those thoughts into one machine instead of 3 portable Dyson spheres. Made an engine out of it, a complete engine. One craft. With my ideas, but of course it's just a hypothesis, but if I'm correct, there's a way to open a wormhole with our current technology. I will have to save some of my thoughts for cold fusion and reactor solutions for that podcast. So on this one, we're going to be focusing on these beings. Okay, now I was talking about in the last one how I kind of came about meeting them, how I feel I've been introduced. Okay, so from there, I stopped recording. I stopped recording for the longest time because the second time I picked up that microphone again, or I mean, the second time I was haunted, not sure how I feel about that word, but don't know if there is another word. So haunted it is. Um, I pull out a microphone every time, and they become audible. I mean, with my ears audible, whispering all around me. Third time, that too, again. It didn't really go away until I corrected my behavior, you know? So they will hold me accountable if I do something wrong. Like, literally, like, they will make sure I do the right thing. They'll steer me in the right direction. And I suppose I'm grateful for that, because I think it's probably could have saved my life, maybe. I don't know. I mean, really, these beings are not just what you see on TV. They're not all bad, you know? And there's more story to some of these stories that you hear, okay? There's got to be. Just like there was to mine. There was a reason why I was being harmed by these beings. I'm not being harmed now. They're just not something to be trifled with. So before you get any further into this, know this. If you get into this for the purpose of finding out if these beings are real, if they have a reason, if they want to, if they think that I can't speak for them, but my perception is if they think you can handle it physically, like with your ticker, they'll communicate with you because you're going to be scared to death. You're going to be scared when you first hear them. When you figure out what is really going on, you're going to be terrified. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're a goddamn assassin that works for the NSA or the CIA or whatever. You're going to be scared. Because you're not going to understand. And it's just human nature. But I think what I've discovered is, and I think what I perceive, what it seems to me, my observation, that they value, or they may have more respect for, at least, people that choose to not be afraid, or can face them, or will be willing to face them if they're trying to scare you, or if they're feeding into or playing on something they don't like. You know, if you're praying the demons away and they're like, I'm not a demon, you know? Think about it. How do you know they're not just having a grumpy ass day because they don't like how Fred treated Bob or whatever, you know? So we really don't know anything. But what I do know is that this phenomenon is real, and that's why I'm taking the time. That's why it's 3:50 a.m. and I'm recording. But to be fair, I woke up at like 6:30. I got some bad habits, insomnia wise, and Don't know when to put things down sometimes, I don't know when to let something go. I don't know when to shut my mind off, turn off the TV, turn off the microphone. Loneliness does that to you. I'd feel even more alone if I didn't have any kind of, I think, connection like this. I think it's one thing about me that makes me special. And it could be taken from me anytime. They don't have to talk to me. It's a gift, and I've got to respect it. So I encourage anybody that's actually accepted by them, and anybody that attempts to communicate with them, actually, be respectful. Be respectful, and don't be naive. If they want to play like they're your Uncle Fred or whatever, or your dead cat, don't be fooled, because they're going to be waiting and watching to see if you're going to give in, and if you're going to think that they're a demon, if you're going to think that they're a ghost, if you're going to assume at least that they're a human spirit and not an extraterrestrial one. And when I say spirit, I mean science. I'm talking quantum data in the brain. So that's what I think a spirit is, and I think it's real. I think scientists really limit themselves too much. I get empirical data. I get it, my fellow scientists, and I'm a scientist too. I'm devoting my life to science. I'm a student of science. May not be the greatest one. I'll get there. I'll get there. Universe willing, if I live long enough. But I think we've had our introduction. You know my ideas as to what I believe these beings are. Those of you that have paid attention long enough, you know I'm delusional enough to think that I probably created them. Angels and demons. Me, the creator of them. I'm joking. I mean, it's a hypothesis. What if I'm right? What if I'm right? What if I'm right? What if they've traveled in space throughout time just to mess with humans? Just to come to this point, to where I'm talking to you on the microphone and looking you in the eyes and telling you what myself and my species have already achieved before you've discovered us. If I'm correct. I mean, the thoughts are coming in my head. What if I'm not? It's not like it doesn't cross my mind. I'm saying I'm going to try to make it happen. What if I succeed in one of these timelines? It is a small fishbowl mentality idea to think that there's only one timeline surrounding planet Earth. And that kind of sucks, doesn't it? Or does it? Is there more than... Would there be more than one? I mean, there might be, you know. If entanglement is real, if string theory is real, if what we observe in a laboratory is real, it seems very possible. So, would it be would it be the universe's cruel joke on me to say, hey, this is a timeline that already happened or that did happen? And what I am dancing around here is that I'm telling you, it's been communicated to me. I feel that this is what's happened. That I created these beings. And took off, evidently. Because I couldn't keep some sort of invention here on Earth. So, and somebody does something with that freaking rock heading our way, Apophis. And I'm guessing it goes through a wormhole. And I know how crazy that sounds. But I know what I heard with my ears. And what I heard was, I said, I don't know if I'm the one that blows that out of the sky or not. And then there's a voice that said, I do, but you're It's 2024, man. I do, but you're fucked. So we're gonna start now. And now we're gonna do an actual I don't even know what to call it. But they're called EVP sessions. So we're gonna do that.